Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I am Rachna Prasad. I hope you all are doing well. Thank you for being here. So in today's video, I will be wrapping up the books that I read in the month of September. I read very less books this month than the previous month. I read only 6 books this month, which I'm not really happy about, but at least I read something. So my exams, that's why I was not able to read much because I don't really like to read when I'm in pressure or when I'm stressed about something. I just can't enjoy the books, so I didn't really read much. 3 of these books were review copies, and 3 of these books I read because I wanted to. And yeah, I think I'll do mini reviews of these books as always in this wrap up video. So without further ado, let's get into it. So yeah, the first book that I read this month was I'll Wait For You Till Eternity by Rian Kalyani. Now this was a romance book and it's about interfaith marriage. So in this book, the girl is Hindu and the boy is Muslim. So you can imagine like how difficult their love story is. So what happens is they both love each other since they were in college, and yeah, they fall in love and they want to marry each other. And then suddenly this religious riots happen in Lucknow when they are both separated from each other, which was very tragic actually. The incident, when you read it in the book, it's very horrible. So what happens is Amir, the character of this book, waits for Shikha for 3 years, and he's not ready to fall in love with someone else because he only wants Shikha in his life. So he's looking for her everywhere. Now the story of this book was very sweet, and I didn't really like it actually because it was not unique and there were loopholes in these stories, and the language was not very strong for me. The thing was, this love story between people from two different religions is not something very unique in our country because there are so many books on this subject. Now what I expected from the author was that he portrays this in some different way, and I didn't really get that. I didn't really get that from the book. So I gave this book a 2 out of 5 stars. If you want to check out the review, I'll leave the link in the description. So this was an okay read for me. I didn't really enjoy it. If you're a beginner, you might like this book, but if you're someone who likes to read, who loves to read, and who is a very avid or critical reader, you don't want to go for this one. The next book that I read this month was The Green Mile by Stephen King. Now I really loved this book, and this was such a good story. So this book is about Paul Edgecombe and John Coffey. Paul Edgecombe is a guard in a prison. John Coffey is a prisoner. So what happened is John Coffey raped 2 girls who were 8-year-olds and who were twins, and he's sent to the prison for that crime. Now this book can really get you if you're someone with soft heart. I won't recommend you to read this book because it can really shatter you, but if you're someone who loves to be shattered by books, definitely go for this one. And the story was really good. The character building was very good. The plot was very strong. The way Stephen King has told the story really keeps a hold on you. Also, I have done a detailed review on this book. If you want to check that out, I will leave the link up here, and I will leave the link in the description so you guys can check that out. And I will highly recommend this book to everyone. And some of you told me that you really want to read Stephen King, but you are really scared of reading horror. So Stephen King not only writes horror, but he has written many other genres too. So this is kind of a crime, thriller and mystery genre, and this had some supernatural things going on in here. So you guys can definitely start King with this one. It does contain some scenes which can be gruesome and which can get you, but it's not that terrifying, it's not that horrible. So you can definitely go for this one if you want to read King and if you'll be reading him for the first time. The next book that I read this month was The Rescue by Nicholas Sparks. Now this is a romance novel, as you guys can guess from the author. I really liked this book, and I was really in need of some nice romance this month because I had read so many Bollywood romance in previous months that yeah, this was a savior for me. So this book is about Taylor and Dennis, who meet when Dennis is faced with an accident and her son Kyle is nowhere to be found. So Taylor helps her with finding her son, and between that they are both attracted to each other and they both fall in love with each other. Taylor is not a guy who likes commitment and who goes for long-term relationships, but and yeah, that's what happens. He tries to back off. He just doesn't want to be in this relationship. So the story revolves around love between Taylor and Dennis, and this was a really enjoyable book. It's not a unique story, but the way Nicholas Sparks has told the story, written the story, it really gets you, and the book is really enjoyable. I will highly recommend this book to everyone, and someone who is a romance fan, definitely go for this one. This won't disappoint you. And I did a detailed review for this book too. I will leave the link up here or in the description, so be sure you check that out. Also, if you guys have more romance books to recommend, please leave them in the comments so I can check them out. The next book that I read was A Cursed God by Vivek Mishra. Now this is a Indian mythological books, and this book contains retelling of the battle of Kurukshetra, that is Mahabharat. I really like this book. There are so many retellings of Mahabharat and Ramayana too. Every different region of India contains different versions of this mythologies, and this book also contains a different version of Mahabharat. So what this book really talks about is the origin of this battle, like why did it happen, how did it come to happen, what was the reason behind this battle, why was this battle the greatest battle of our country. So this was a really intriguing book for me. I really love to read Indian mythologies in different versions, and yeah, I really enjoy reading mythologies, and this was one of them. So but this book can be a little hard for beginners because the narrative is too formal, and but if you get in, like if you're a chapter or two in, this story has a grip on you, so you just have to read it and never stop. So there were some little things that really bothered me. So for instance, when you start reading this book, there are too many scenarios, there are too many scenes that are from different times, so I got a little confused. It put me off a little bit. And as you read the story, you have to go back and check with some facts and check some lines from the past to really be sure, because this book can be a little confusing. But overall, this was a good read for me, and I really enjoyed reading. So if you're a mythological fan, definitely give this a read. And if you want to know more about Mahabharat, definitely read this book, because it really tells the story in an interesting and intriguing way. But yeah, maybe keep a dictionary with you, or read a little slowly if you're choosing this book, because yes, as I said, the narrative is a little formal, so it will be really hard for some people to read this book. But overall, it was a good read for me. Definitely give this a read. So the next book that I read was Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. Now I didn't really read this book, I heard the audiobook and it was so amazing. I was someone who didn't really like audiobooks because I thought physical books are always better, but this really changed my mind. And I really wanted to read Metamorphosis from a long time, but I didn't really have a copy of it, and I didn't really want to read an ebook. So I found out about this app called LibriVox. I'll leave a link for it in the description, you guys can check that out. And I searched for Metamorphosis on it, and it was there. The narration was so good. I really enjoyed reading or hearing the book. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. You can really read the books whenever you want. I personally read the book when I was cooking or when I was doing something else. So audiobooks can really come handy when you have a busy and tight schedule. Metamorphosis is about a man who turns into a worm one morning suddenly, and it's the journey of his life after that, like how he faces everything in his life, how his family doesn't really supports him in the long run, but you can learn a lot about this book. Spoiler alert, ending of this book is a little sad, but it felt very real to me, because yeah, sometimes things really end up in that way. So definitely give this a read, and if you're a classic fan, I think you already have read this book. But if you're someone who wants to start reading classics, you can definitely start from this one, because I didn't find the language really tough. It was a very easy language, so definitely pick this book up. And it's kind of funny in some aspects, and it's kind of really deep in some aspects, so you're definitely going to enjoy that one. Now moving to the last book of this month, I read Gangs of Social Media by Wasim Raja Bhavikatti. This was another good read of this month, and I'm really glad that I came across this book. So this book is about social media and how the fake messages are circulated on social media, through WhatsApp, through Instagram, through Twitter, through Facebook and whatnot. I found this book really interesting, and this was a very unique concept to read from an Indian author. And everyone can read this book, be it a beginner or be it a avid reader. You can definitely give this book a chance. So this book starts when three people who are well educated forward a fake message to people in their contact list, or people in their Facebook friend list. So and after sending that fake news, they receive a message that they have shared a fake news, and they have to pay 1 lakh rupees, or the data in their laptops or mobiles will be public in 12 hours. So this book gets really interesting and exciting, because they only have 12 hours, and after the government officials and many big experts are involved in this case, it gets more interesting. And there are so many different aspects to this book. There is a dark side to this book which you will really like, which I really liked, because it has some truth in it. So definitely give this book a read. I really liked how the author took a very unique but a very common concept that has been happening in this pandemic especially. I mean, I really received so many fake messages on my social media that it was frustrating to see. He really talked about this subject in depth, but the book is very short read. It's very it's pacey, so you guys can definitely give this a read, and this book can be read in a one sitting. So if you are someone who really likes to read short story and who is beginning to read books, you can definitely go for this one. Another plus point of this book was that it is a short read, so you won't get bored while reading it, and you will also take many learnings from it. And the author has also shared the solution for fake news, how can we stop it, and it was really a good part of this book. So definitely give this book a read. I have done a detailed review on this book. I'm leaving the link up here and in the description as always, so be sure that you check that out. So yeah, so that's it. Those were the books that I read this month. Even though I read less books, I really enjoyed reading them. So I'll be leaving the detailed review links in the description, and some are up here, so be sure that you check them out. Tell me about the books that you read in September, and what was your favorite read, or what was the worst book that you read this month. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you liked it. I'll see you in the next one. Stay tuned till then. Bye.